Well, welcome to another edition of On Point Live right here from the Manhattan Beach Studios. I'm Vince Ferragamo along with Jackie Slater, former Super Bowl players and teammates and Hall of Famer. And so we got a lot to talk about, Jackie, but we have to talk about our home teams this week. Jackie, you know, the Rams played the Chargers at home at SoFi. And, you know, what do you take away from this game being that the first preseason game?
Well, Vince, you know, it was an interesting game to watch. And I can remember sitting there and thinking to myself, okay, let's see him run that play. Because when you and I went out to training camp a couple of weeks ago, what I saw was like three or four different plays that I had never seen Sean McVay run before. And I was assuming that those were plays that were brought there by Ryan Wendell, who played with the Patriots for over a decade. But when we got to the game, I never saw these plays. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, you got a young offensive line. You're just kind of trying to get them used to playing. And most of the runs that I saw were meat and potato stuff. Inserting backs right into the line of scrimmage, dives and stuff like that. A little bit of slight outside zone, a little bit of inside zone. It was meat and potato stuff, man. And I'm thinking to myself, now, Kellen Moore, on the other hand, they ran the ball, 31 times they ran the ball, Vince? 31 times for 214 yards. They 6.9 yards a carry. They brought Kellen Moore.
That was impressive.
They brought Kellen Moore from Dallas to eliminate the problem that they had in the playoffs a year ago when they lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars after leading them by 27 points. And the reason why they lost that game is because they couldn't run the ball.
They get 1 yard running.
They couldn't run the ball.
They couldn't even make a yard.
But Kellen Moore was brought in here to put in a running game. Remember, Dallas, 142 yards a game they averaged on him a year ago. And this is what we're expecting to see from Kellen Moore. And the interesting thing about it was the plays that he was running, Vince, they're all meat and potato stuff with all different varieties.
Right.
They ran a counter. They ran a counter to the weak side, to the strong side. They ran a counter and left the backside lineman, only pulled one and inserted an H-back in there. They did so many different things running the same plays, and they weren't concerned about who saw them.
No.
They weren't concerned about showing their hand.
No.
They're trying to get, and this is one of the things that told me that Kellen Moore and Brandon Staley have made the commitment to develop their running game. They didn't start either of their tackles, Slater or Pipkin, or their starting center. They didn't play those guys, but they played their starting two guards. Zion Johnson, who was a first-round pick a couple of years ago and played right guard for them this year, but in college he played left guard, so they put him back at left guard. They took big Jamari Sawyer and put him at right guard, who's probably going to be the starting right guard, and they played with those two guards. And Vince, when you think about it, in the counter run game, in the power run game, in most sophisticated rushing plays that you see in the NFL today, the trigger man is the offensive guard, which explains why Arthur Smith down in Atlanta paid their offensive right guard $105 million.
Right.
So what they did was they left their starting two guards in there. And the footwork that I saw being executed on the plays that they were running and having a lot of success with was key to the success of those plays. So they're growing those two integral interior run blockers by letting them get the reps early on. Even though one of them was a first-round draft choice a couple of years ago. They're saying, the heck with that. We have got to get better at the offensive line. We've got to get better with the nuances of these different plays that gives us a chance to be successful. So we got to play the guys. And that's what they did, Vince, and it was really, really impressive. Now, the other thing that I saw, and I know you're going to talk about this too, was Quentin Johnston.
Oh, God.
Vince, Quentin Johnston, when you think about it, man, this guy is going to be paired with Mike Williams and Keenan Allen and Austin Eckler. That first several passes went to him.
Yes.
They had a package that was designed for him. And when you think about it, you put Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, and Eckler in the mix along with Justin Herbert distributing the ball, this guy is going to be unique, just like you said. It was impressive. It was impressive watching Brandon Staley's team operate. And relative to the Rams, you know, Sean McVay, he doesn't like to tip his hat, you know, and I can see him probably not doing some things, but you got to do the things that you think are going to be successful to give you a chance, Vince. And I didn't see that with the Rams. Maybe they're just saving it. I know they ran it in practice, but they didn't run some of that stuff in the game.
Sometimes you see the good with the bad too, Jackie. But you look at the depth at some of these teams, and look at the Chargers, and they win the game by 17 points, 34-17. Jackie, it really starts up front, as you mentioned, but the variety of the running game. They rushed for 214 yards. That was impressive. That's what I noticed. That was the biggest take. But you know how they started the game, Jackie? They started the game with 3 or 4 passes.
Right.
They didn't even run the football. And guess who they were targeting?
To
Quentin
first,
Johnson.
yeah, absolutely.
You think he's going to be the Rookie of the Year? I kind of think so, Jackie. But let me tell you how good this kid is. He's a big play player. Yeah, he only made 3 catches, but one of them was for a touchdown.
Right.
Okay, Jackie. So you know the direction they're going, and how's he going to fit in with the complement of Keenan Allen and Mike Williams? Great. But I'll tell you, the guy, and talking about depth, is Easton Stick.
The quarterback.
He was impressive. Okay, you have depth at quarterback. You have depth at all positions. That's a mark of a good team. He was comfortable in the pocket. He didn't make any bad decisions. He doesn't throw the ball up for grabs.
He was well protected.
Protected. The schemes were good. Their play action, their passing, their attempts. They have great receivers. They were as interactive in the passing game as they were in the running game. That tells me it's a mark of a good team. Okay,
Yes.
And so you had Elijah Dotson. He rushed for 92 yards, Jackie.
Elijah Dotson.
And then Kelly, Joshua Kelly. He rushed for 54 yards. I mean, those are big numbers for a team that couldn't rush 1 yard in their AFC Championship game, in their divisional game. So that's the direction they're going, Jackie. But I tell you, the biggest play that I saw all weekend was in the punt return.
Oh, the kid
It
from
was
TCU?
Darius Davis.
The kid from TCU.
You talk about a big man's game, Jack. This guy's a little guy.
Yeah, I think he weighs about 185 pounds or something like that.
Jackie, he made 2 moves simultaneously. Those 2 guys are still trying to figure out where he is on the field.
And he was gone, man.
Nobody
was catching him.
81 yards. Jackie, so special teams, offense, defense improved. And a lot of the starters didn't even play.
Right.
I mean,
it was an impressive outing for Brandon Staley's outfit.
Good outing, first game.
Both those right here in L.A., you and I are kind of spoiled because we got 2 teams playing in the same stadium. Both of them wear blue and gold.
Yeah.
We don't have to change our colors. All we got to do is sit there and watch it. And to see, what these organizations are doing to build and develop.
Right.
And to me, when I look at the Chargers, Vince, I go back 5 years to when the Rams loaded up. When they loaded up with all this talent and everything, and then they had a run of 2 Super Bowls. They won one and lost one. That ain't a bad deal. Now they're reloading. But it seems like to me right now the Chargers are fully loaded, fully equipped to beat you in the passing game. They can beat you in the running game. They brought in a guy that understands how to run the football. They got some people that can run the football. They didn't even use Austin Eckler, and he caught 100 balls this is going to me. What Kellen Moore and Brandon Staley are doing over there is what you should be doing when you're chasing a championship. You got all the pieces in place, and these are the type of decisions you should be making in the preseason.
They're going to have to because they're in the AFC West, Jackie, with the Chiefs and the
Absolutely,
Raiders and
absolutely.
the Broncos. The Broncos are going to be good too. So that's a lot of great teams in that division. But Jackie, let's jump over to the Rams. We saw some bright spots there. And, Brett Rippon started at quarterback and then came in their 4th-round draft pick, their quarterback from Georgia, Stetson Bennett. And Stetson had a good game, Jackie.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see he got sacked on a bootleg play, but, he's going to learn. There's a lot of learning that goes on. But from what I see from a quarterback is that the coaching is going to be a vital key to his early success.
Right.
And working with a guy like Sean McVay is going to make wonders for this guy.
Right.
And this is only game 1. Okay, let's move forward. They're going to improve. But if something happens to Matthew Stafford, which we hope nothing does, but you've got a kid like Stetson Bennett's coming up. He looks sharp, Jackie. Yeah. He's comfortable. He's a gamer.
Right.
He wants to go in there and play.
We concluded
he wants to show somebody what he can do.
We concluded that when we interviewed him, when we went out at training camp. He was standing there and talking to us and licking his fingers like that the whole time.
He wanted to throw a pass.
It was like he was getting ready.
Happens.
But the thing that about Stetson Bennett, when you look at his numbers, he's 17 of 29 for 191 yards and 1 touchdown, and he engineered a 78-yard touchdown drive.
Yes.
16 plays now. And if you remember,
that's ball control.
If you remember, there was another little quarterback that came to the Rams at the end of the year named Baker Mayfield.
Yes.
Hadn't been with the team a week. started the game and led them to victory.
Right.
So it speaks volumes for the head coach. So Sean McVay has a unique way with quarterback. He might be a quarterback whisperer, who knows, but he has a unique way with quarterbacks to get them to come in, align themselves and what their previous teachings has been, align all of that with what he wants to get done and to see that position be successful. That was the most impressive thing to me because this kid is right out of college. And you would not have known that watching him on most of the plays that he has. So hats off to Sean McVay and what he does there. The biggest thing for me is Sean McVay has got to do a better job of running the football and developing a power-oriented running game, so that he can consistently control the clock, consistently keep his guys on the field, and maybe he thinks he can do that with his receivers because he's got some really good receivers.
That was my next question about the running game. They rushed for 99 yards, Jackie, and I noticed they were trying to make a commitment to run the football. And at times, it looked pretty good. But as you always mentioned, you need to have a variety in the run game. Do you think the Rams are going to get to that point, especially with their new coach, Ryan Windell?
Well, I mean, this is week 2 coming up. You got your first pick in the draft, the 36th overall, Avila, big physical guy. Yeah. We saw him at training camp, just a wide load.
He played good. He played good.
He can put big mass on you. You got to put guys like that in a position to do what they can do, and then you got to give them an opportunity to have some variety so that people don't get comfortable with them doing what they do best all the time. So when I looked at the Rams in this game, I never really saw Villa doing any pulling. I never really saw him, doing a lot of outside reaching, really tacking that outside shoulder and climbing to the middle linebacker. He was more like straight line stuff. And to me, I think that's got to improve. Now, I don't know, as I said earlier, I don't know if Sean McVay is just not wanting to show his hand. And I don't know if he, somebody said to me, Jackie, Sean, it doesn't matter who comes to the Rams as a coach. McVay is going to be in charge, and he's going to make the decisions on everything offense. So that means running the football, throwing the football, all of that, protections and all that. I still can remember him jumping on Brian Allen when a protection broke down against the Jets a year ago where somebody didn't make the right call. So he's in tune with every single detail of what's going on with the offensive side of the ball. The thing for me is that he has got to – I need to see more of what I think Ryan Windell is capable of bringing to the table.
Right.
Ryan Windell, and I keep saying this guy is aware of some of the plays that I have seen that have been some of the most sophisticated rushing plays in National Football League history. He was a part of it as a player at the New England Patriots under Dante Scarnecchia. So I haven't seen a whole lot of that influence to this point. I've seen a lot of meat and potato of Sean McVay over the years, but not a whole lot. And the other thing is this. He doesn't like to show his hand, so maybe, like I saw it in practice, they're saving it for the games. But to me, with the young offensive line that they got, Vince, they need to show it earlier. They need to start practicing those plays because the nuances of blocking like on the counter for an offensive guard, Vince, is critical. He's got to step inside, try to get that defensive lineman to bite, and if he bites, he and the tackle throws him down inside. If he doesn't bite, he can't keep going. He got to go back to him, push him off the ball, and then look for that middle linebacker to assert right there. And if you don't put him in position to make these kind of decisions consistently, then you're going to have problems. So I'm just going to be watching the Rams this year, looking for a little bit more this week, looking for a little bit more variety in their running game and maybe giving these guys, because you got to give them confidence, Vince.
Two questions on the Rams, Jackie. Both you and I can probably answer these. The best thing you saw with the Rams on Saturday night and the worst thing you saw?
Well, the best thing I saw, I'd have to say right away, was Stetson Bennett.
Yes.
Once again,
and especially the pass, I would agree with you, especially the pass to Puka Nacua for the touchdown.
Yes.
Yeah, and his play, too.
Where that ball was placed was very accurate.
Beautiful, good timing.
No other place that ball could have been thrown for him to score that touchdown. So that was impressive. And then just to see him manage the team for the length of time that he played, right out of college.
191 passing yards, Jackie. Not bad for your for playing three quarters.
And they trusted him with the passes that they had him to throw. So that was the most impressive thing that I saw. The thing that I was a little bit disappointed about as I watched it was that the big guys, considering what they need to do, considering how they need to be to deal with, this week, to deal with the Raiders' defensive front.
Yeah.
I didn't see them get the opportunity to show variety, because variety is the cure-all to to run blocking insufficiency. If you are not a big, powerful guy, you have got to be put in a position to use some finesse as you get to power. And so I didn't see that, and that's what I'm going to be watching over these next 2 weeks. Not just this week, but over these next 2 weeks. I want to see Ryan Wendell's influence in this offensive rushing attack, and I want to see McVay say, the heck with saving everything till the first regular season game.
Let's get this thing going.
We need to get these guys some reps doing what we're going to be doing during the regular season. So that's what that's my feelings on it.
Well, I agree with Stetson Bennett on the positive things. I think one of the negative things I saw with the Rams is I think they need a little bit more beef on the defensive front. I know Aaron Donald's not playing, but they really need to be a little more stout against the run. And if teams can run against you, Jackie, at will, then it doesn't bode that well for the team. And, when the guys like CJ Okoye from the Chargers came from Nigeria, never played football before. He makes his first sack, Jackie. They went crazy, right? But let me tell you, the Rams got to go find some guys.
I looked at that sack,
Vince.
I looked at that sack. It was all over social media this week. And, I saw him do some things. And I thought to myself,
how did he do that?
I thought to myself, he's fairly inexperienced. A couple of things that I saw him do. But then when I saw him get off that block and make that big sack and his whole team celebrating, I thought to myself, this guy is 6'6". He weighs 320 pounds or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And they couldn't block him. So, you gotta have those kind of bodies.
Yeah.
But you also gotta teach guys, how to be successful technically as linemen. It's not all about being big and strong and powerful. That's a big part of it. But to be big, strong, and powerful and highly skilled at dealing with other big, strong, powerful people is a whole nother existence.
Well, we're talking about the Chargers, Jack. We have to do a quick prediction of, and I know you don't like to make predictions, but the Chargers are plus 300 to win the West, AFC West. And the Chiefs are minus 180. That means the Chiefs are pretty heavy favorite, Jackie.
Pretty heavy favorite.
I mean, what do you think they're going to get up there? Vince, they got a shot.
It's going to be tough.
The way they play.
It's going to be tough. Not only do they have a shot because of the way they played, but they have a shot because of their personnel. Mm-hmm. I just mentioned to you, their defense is loaded. Joey Bosa. Yeah. I mean, I can go on and on about JC. I can go on and on about their personnel on the defensive side of the ball. They're loaded over there, kind of like the Rams were a few years back. Mm-hmm. But they're also doing things now in the preseason for their critical players, playing their two starting guards as much as they did, running the plays and showing their hand on some great plays to make sure that they have them down as much as they did. That is an indication to me that you are very serious about being a better football team this year than you were last year. The heck with that not showing your hand. So when you look at the Chargers, I mean, it's really hard not to like them. And I'm just sitting here in awe of the fact that they ran the ball as often and as well as they did.
How about the Rams, Jackie? The Rams, are they? Some people are predicting them to finish in the basement with the Cardinals. But I do see them being improved though, Jackie.
I see them being improved. And Vince, if I recall, I think I picked them to win 9 or 10 games or something like that.
So did I.
And it was in large part because of Sean McVay, in large part because of some of the key elements like Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp and certainly Aaron Donald. As we went out there, saw him, what a leader he is to those young defensive linemen. But, the thing that concerns me is the lack of, the guys are all young.
Yeah.
On both sides of the ball. I got 40 guys on that roster, Vince, that's in their first or second year, okay? These guys got to play. And you can't just put them in a position where they're playing and doing things that you want to do in games only in practice and only in the games when you're trying to execute.
No.
You got to practice. What did Chuck Knox say?
Practice makes perfect.
What did Chuck Knox used to say? Proper preparation prevents
blank performance.
Piss poor performance.
That's right, man.
So I'm going to be watching over these next couple of weeks to see how much. I expect the Rams to play continue to play their young starters in the offensive and defensive line this week. So I'm going to be watching that. I'm going to be watching the development of the young defensive linemen because I'm thinking to myself, if I'm Aaron Donald right now, and I look at this group of guys, I see some athletic ability. Yeah, I see some quickness. I see some power, but I don't see the veteran stuff that I've been seeing for the last few years when I had Greg Gaines
but that's
in there,
that's
when I
something
had some of these other guys.
That's something that can come, Jackie, and I agree. But when you talk about those three guys that are not playing, Cooper Kupp, Matthew Stafford, and Aaron Donald, there's not too many guys that will replace those guys in the lineup. So that's going to be a big benefit, obviously, coming. So other teams are going to get better too, but they don't get much better than those three guys. But we'll see how they do. I think they're going to be, things are looking up. But that's only one preseason game. They're going to get to the bottom of it, Jack, and they're in the right direction. They're moving in the right direction because they are making it more of an attempt to run the football. And now they got to get to Ryan Wendell's variety up front. And
Absolutely.
They'll be much improved.
It'll be a huge benefactor to those young linemen.
We're really excited about this coming season, Jackie. As we said, there's going to be a lot of action going on, and we want to thank our viewers for always watching us here on Point Live. Don't forget to subscribe to our Point Live with Vince and Jackie with YouTube, and also be a follower on our Instagram. So for all of us here at the Manhattan Beach Studios, until next time, stay on point.